Shabbat Shalom. So in my head, as we come to the Torah portion this week, I picture God and Moses in the executive boardroom on high, having a conversation, looking at the Jewish people. They say, wait a second, is what we have here a marketing problem? Is what we have here a content problem? Or is what we have here a demographic problem? Right? Looking at the Jewish people, God and Moses are saying, do we have a marketing problem? Do we have a content problem? Or do we have a demographic problem? And of course, we know from our Torah portion that the conversation between God and Moses concluded that they had a marketing problem. Because God said to Moses, send forward 12 people to go tour the land of Israel. Come back and say how beautiful and how wonderful it is. Go tell all your friends, all your family, how beautiful the land of Israel is, and it will be great there. God and Moses think the Jewish people have a marketing problem. And if we just get word out, then everybody will be happy. Of course, we know that the 12 scouts go out and they scout the land. And 10 of them come back with a negative report. As we know, as I've said, 2 people came back with a positive report. Of course, they were Joshua and we're getting good at this now. Caleb. They came back with a positive report. But the other 10 came back with a negative report. They said, we can't do it. The people there are too strong. We look like grasshoppers in our own eyes. Imagine what we must look like to them. There aren't enough of us. We're not strong enough. Those 10 scouts came back and said, we have a demographic problem. We don't have the right people for the job. I was thinking about that as I was reflecting on the words from Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove this past week, who came to speak with us about the future of the American synagogue, the future of Jewish life here in the Golden of Medina. And I was wondering, do we have here a marketing problem? Do we have a content problem? Or do we have a demographic problem? And you remember Rabbi Cosgrove spoke to us beautifully. And the 3 areas that he invited us to really think about and focus on. One was Jewish institutions, and how poorly Jewish institutions are known to pivot with change. When the world changes, when generations change, we, our Jewish institutions, often keep doing the same things and wondering why we're not getting the same results. Especially as people stop affiliating, identifying with institutions. That's a global phenomenon, not just a Jewish phenomenon, a global phenomenon. Our Jewish institutions have to change, Rabbi Cosgrove tells us. Rabbi Cosgrove also told us that we have a Jewish identity problem. Because once upon a time, we were a community of descent. We knew we were Jews because our parents and grandparents told us we were Jews, and thus we were to tell our children and our grandchildren that they're to be Jews, and we're communities of descent. But in America in the 21st century, we're communities of ascent. Every person gets to pick his, her, or their identity for themselves. People take on their own identities, their own roles, no matter what their parents or grandparents may have been or told them. Each person in America chooses for himself, herself, their self, what the identity is to be. We're no longer communities of descent, we're communities of ascent. And as Rabbi Cosgrove reminded us, everybody today is a Jew by choice. No matter what your background is, everybody today is a Jew by choice. So Rabbi Cosgrove spoke about Jewish institutions, he spoke about Jewish identity, and he also spoke to us about Jewish power and powerlessness. And a conversation that we need to be having, especially with our children and grandchildren, is what does it mean when Jews have power? And what does it mean when Jews are powerless? What is our perception of the world? Are we the 10 who say we Jews are powerless against them? Or are we the 2 saying we Jews are powerful? What does it mean here in America? What does it mean in Israel? Jewish power and Jewish powerlessness. And these are the three areas with which Rabbi Cosgrove challenged us: Jewish institutions, Jewish identity, Jewish power and powerlessness. But I think, too, one of the blessings of bringing in scholars and residents is not just the conversations that happen from the bima, but the conversations that happen in the hallways, the conversations that happen over lunch and off to the side. Because as I was speaking with Rabbi Cosgrove, as he and I were reflecting on the future of the American synagogue, I said, just as much as the Jewish people needed synagogues in the 20th century, we Jews, we need synagogues in the 21st century. Boy, do we need synagogues in the 21st century. There is no other single place where you can go to acquire meaning and morality, where we use Jewish rituals to make our lives more meaningful, give some purpose and structure to the craziness that is our lives in the 21st century, and to reflect on the morality of the complex issues facing us. Synagogues are about meaning and morality. Synagogues are also about community and compassion. Because one thing that hasn't changed in humanity is a need for community. And the more complex our systems become and the more difficult the world is, the more we need community. But at the same time, there is no better place to come for compassion than the synagogue. To Emery's family, we love you. We loved Emery, and we're here for you. This is the place we come for compassion. This is the place that we have rabbis and cantors, synagogue friends, who comfort us in our most difficult of times. The synagogue is a place for meaning and morality, for community, and for compassion. The synagogue is also a place for incredible joy. And the synagogue is a place for intergenerationalism. Because what we do is we uplift and we pass down. We uplift and we pass down. This is a place for Jewish joy. This is a place for intergenerationalism. And what better place than the synagogue? We don't have a content problem because we have meaning and morality, we have community and compassion, we have joy, and we have intergenerationalism. So, do we have a marketing problem? Yeah, I'd say we have a marketing problem. How do we get word out about how great the synagogue is and how great this synagogue is? How do we share that with our community when, let's just say, the number of people under the age of 60 who are reading the Jewish news is diminishing? How do we get word out that we're not the Shaarey Zedek of a generation ago, let alone 2 generations ago? We have a marketing problem. We also have a demographic problem. Detroit is not Manhattan. I'm not sure you noticed. But Detroit is not Manhattan. We have a demographic problem. And so one of the things that Rabbi Cosgrove also encouraged us in a smaller conversation is don't just give in to intermarriage and say, let's just marry anybody. He cautioned us against that. But he also challenged us to be a place of conversion. How can the conservative synagogue be a place where people come and really find Judaism? And they're welcomed into the community no matter what their background, whether they're the 4th, 5th generation of Shaarey Zedek, or whether they just converted a week ago. Or maybe they're even learning on the process toward conversion, that we welcome in these families. We welcome in these interfaith families. How radical would it be? How crazy would it be for us, after a couple that's one Jewish and one not Jewish is married, at the next Shabbat we say, come and let me bless you on the bima? How radical would that be? But we say that you are welcome here. You're part of our family, and we hope that you will choose to build a Jewish home and Jewish lives. We do have a demographic problem, and we just need more Jews. What can we do to pursue that? And I also think, as we think about a new generation, I want to challenge us, not just in the area of conversion, But I want to challenge us a little bit in the area of our Shabbat morning service. For generations at Congregation Shaarey Zedek, the flagship experience is the Saturday morning service. If you want to see and be seen, you come on Saturday morning. We judge our success based on attendance of Saturday morning service. It was a good week, it was a bad week. And I think I'm going to suggest that we have to get out of that paradigm. Because why shouldn't our success be measured by the 50 children and parents who were here last night for a Tot Shabbat? Why shouldn't our success be measured by the 65 adults who were here for our coffee house a couple weeks ago to learn? There are other measures of success. And I'd like to invite us to begin rethinking what success means and how we have that conversation. Because I want to tell you, in the name of our marketing problem, Congregation Shaarey Zedek is successful. We're bringing in new young families. We're engaging people who we haven't engaged before. We're also offering meaning and morality, community and compassion, joy and intergenerationalism. We are successful. And I want to ask one more thing of you, our most devoted members. As we turn to our Torah portion this week, as we look carefully at what Moses is asking the scouts to go out and do, he's saying you might be afraid, you might not be sure, you might have your doubts, but come back positive. Give us a positive report. Because your job, Moses says to the scouts, is to convince everyone else that indeed with faith in God, with trust in our leadership, our future is bright. Let me ask the same thing of each of you. With faith in God, with trust in our leadership, go out and tell your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, go out and tell your friends and the rest of this community that the future is bright at Congregation Shaarey Zedek, that the future of the Jewish people is right here at Congregation Shaarey Zedek. We have an incredible future ahead of us. And if we work hard together, if we partner in the name of meaning and morality, community and compassion, joy and intergenerationalism, then we can get over our marketing problem, we can get over our demographic problem, and we can work together in service to God and the Jewish people. Adonai Ozi Amo Yitain, Adonai Yevarechet Amo Vashalom. May God give us the strength to see the bright future that is ahead of us, that the promised land is yet to come. And may God bless us all with peace. And let us say together, Amen. Our service